Hello guys, welcome to our second class. So today we're going to start building our terrain. It's going to be actually very exciting because in today's class I'm going to teach you guys how to import some assets that we're going to need and also how to use those assets in order to create terrains inside of Unity. So it's a very straightforward. Unity will have its own system of terrains, but in order to have the assets for those terrains like the trees, the textures, the grass, and other things that we want to add to our map, we're going to need to import it. So I'm going to show to you guys today how we can actually import different assets from Unity Asset Store. So I'm going to show how we can import one specific asset, but you can import any kind of assets inside of Unity. There is free assets and also paid assets, so you don't need to worry about paying for assets. There is free options as well. So first of all, you can see the link in the class, but there is a website. It's called Asset Store Unity, and there is a bunch of different assets there. You can go to this link right here. There is in the class. That's the assets that we're going to be using. You just need to create a quick account in this website. It's safe. It's from Unity, so don't need to worry about this. So you just need to create a new account and also log in into Unity Hub into the account that we have. So you probably already did that before. So like here there is an account also. So like you just make sure that you go here in account. If it's not login, you just log in with the account. It's the same account that you're going to use in this map, in this site right here, right? So once you have the account done, go to that link that is in the class and click here in Open in Unity. So when you click here, it's going to ask, do you want to open Unity Editor? And you're going to say, yes, I want to open. And then it's going to open right here. If it doesn't open at first, you just need to go back and click again and click as long as it needs to open right here. Once it opens this image, it's very important that it needs to open this image. You will click probably, it doesn't show for me because I already have it on my computer, but it would show something like download, and after it's download you're going to have this button right here, click import, and that's what you want. So download and then import. I'm gonna click import right here real quick. It's gonna load all these assets we're going to import to our project. So this I will import. It may take a while to import every single assets. This asset right here have currently almost, you don't need to do a backup, but if you want you can. I'm not gonna do it. I made a backup, go ahead. Alright, so it's loading up. This have 487 megabytes, so it's not huge, but it's not small as well. You can try to download other kind of assets later. This one is a very good quality, and we're going to use a lot of a cool texture for creating our terrain. So it may take a while to import everything. Once it's imported, we are going to be ready to go. Alright, so it's open this window. You can ignore this. You don't need to worry about this. You can close this window right now. And as you can see right here, you can see that we have a folder called Dream Forestry. So that folder right here have all the assets that we're going to use in our game. Okay, so with our project like this, I'm not going to use this plane, so I'm going to delete. I'm not going to use this cube, so I'm going to delete. I just need the main camera and the directional light. And that's exactly how your game should look when you actually create a new project. So don't worry, you just need to import it, and then we're going to start creating our terrain from scratch. In order to create the terrain, we're going to need to go to Game Object, 3D Object, and then Terrain. It's gonna add this guy right here. It's a very huge game object in the map. You can take a look on this. This is our terrain, and this is where we're going to build our forest. or any kind of map that you want to create. So this terrain right here, when you click on the terrain, you will have a bunch of different options right here, because you're going to have this terrain component right here. And that's options. Then we can modify our terrain to basically make it seem in the way that we want. So let's say that you want like a forest, you can make like add trees, change the textures, and if you want the mountains, you can change the level of the terrain. So we can modify this terrain in like a lot of different forms just to achieve what we are looking for. So I'm gonna go step by step for each tool that this terrain have, and then at the final we're going to have our terrain with a game like the way that looks best for us. In the way that I build my terrain, it's a very personal taste, so don't worry about this. You can build your terrain the way that you like. It's just important that you have this terrain and it's beautiful, so we can continue with our FPS game. So first of all, you can see here on the terrain we have basically different tools, and I'm going to start by the first one. So the first one is to create neighbor terrain. So let's say that we want to create more terrains. You can click here and start creating more terrains if you want to have more space. I don't want to do it right now, so I'm not gonna add any terrain, but let's say that after you want to make a bigger place, you can always add a neighbor terrain to the currently terrain that exists right there. The second tool, it's called paint terrain. So this paint terrain, it does a lot of different things inside of our terrain. You see that there is a drop down menu right here. So you have raise or lower terrain, paint holes, paint texture, set high, smooth high, stamp terrain. We are going to use raise and lower and paint texture. For the first one, we can see that right here there is some brushes. So here you can select the brush that you want to go with the terrain. You can select the size of the brush, so you can see right here the size. And you can select how intense the brush will be, so the opacity of this. If it's going to be huge, if it's not. So just as an example, I'm going to paint the terrain just so you can see that I can raise my terrain. So I'm just clicking right here. I'm going to disable the directional light. It's easy to do so. You just go here in this icon and select. So you can see right here that I'm actually making my terrain have some kind of a level as long as I start painting them, right? To raise the terrain, you go with the left click on the mouse. You can add more opacity just to make it go like more stronger. So let's say that I want to have mountains, I will do something like this. Or with shift, if you press shift in the keyboard and then press again the button on the mouse, you lower the terrain. So this tool actually, it's meant for lowering the terrain and raising the terrain in any way that you want. All right. I want to use this brush right here, and I don't want it to be very opacity. I'm just gonna make it like a not very uniform, just so I can have a random terrain, but you can go crazy with this. I'm just gonna paint a little bit. That's okay for me already. And then we're going to change from raise and lower terrain to paint texture. So paint texture is going to be responsible to paint our terrain with any kind of texture that we want. I'm gonna show you guys how to add two different textures, grass texture and then dirt texture. Let's add first our grass texture. So in order to add a new texture to the terrain, you're going to need to go here in text, terrain layers, edit layers, create new layer, and then it's gonna show all the texture that exists in our project. I'm going to type grass. Doesn't seem to have. I think we have this grass and this grass. Let me see if we have another texture right here that makes more sense for us. Yeah, appear to be that's the grass. I think it's too dark, but I guess it's from the terrain itself. So grass, and then it's added a new layer. if you want to add another one, you just go here. Like if you want to remove, you can click on the layer, edit terrain layer, and then remove layer. And then you can add again another layer. So in this case, I'm just gonna go grass again and select, I think I'm going to select this grass one. So I'm gonna click here. And then you can see that there is this terrain right here. It's very, very dark, right? So let's try to add the grass too. Remove, create, then grass, maybe grass tree. Yeah, I think grass tree works a little bit better. Let me see with the lightning that we have. Okay, yeah, it seems to be too dark. Let me see if I can have this terrain with a different kind of layer. So edit, create. Let me take a look which one looks cool. You can do it in a different way. If you want to try to find another one, you can go here in the Dream Forest. If you go here and try to find for texture, you have grass, this. We have ground, grass 1, grass 2, ground 1, rocks ground, this. And we have for trees as well. You can see that we have this grass. They are indeed kind of dark. Let's use at least, I'm gonna use maybe grass 1. So let me go here, create, select grass 1. And then we have the texture right here. Let's say that you want to have another texture. So edit terrain layers, create layer. I'm going to put something like rock. So you have this one. So I have another paint right here. As we add the first layer, all the ground is painted with this layer. But if we click on the second texture right here, we can actually start painting our map with a different kind of texture. So you can see right here that I just painted our terrain with this different texture right here. See? Like this, right? If I go to the grass and paint, you can see that is grass. Okay, so you can paint the terrain in a very diverse form. I'm just gonna select one random and opacity. I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm just gonna click randomly through the map just to give something like a more random. But you can also, if you want, you can also make like some path into the map. So let's make like a brush size that is not huge, and then you can paint kind of a path to the map if you want. I'm not gonna do it, but you can. So here you can also put any other kind of image that you find. So if you want to go to Google or other assets and pick a different grass texture, you can always go and add a different texture right here and just create a new layer, and then you can paint your terrain the way that you want. Okay, so yeah, we have right now our map. I just want to put a little bit more I just want to put more life in this map. And by that, I mean put on more trees. So let's go to the second option right here, plant trees. You see that trees right here is no tree defined because we need to add tree. Similarly, what we did with the textures. So edit trees, add tree. I'm gonna click right here. And then we're gonna have some trees right here that you can choose. I'm just gonna go and pick the redwood 2, add, and then in order to add the trees, I will set the brush size to this, and I'm going to start clicking in the game. Okay, you can add more trees if you want. Let's say redwood tree, and add different trees in the game. And even if you want, you can add some bush. So we have this bush right here. I'm gonna add and then we can add bushes to the game as well. So yeah, that's our map with trees and bushes. To put even more life to our map, let's add other like vegetation into the map. So I'm gonna go here into paint details, and I'm going to add details. It's very similar to what we have with the trees. So add details, add grass texture, and here on grass texture I'm going to click, and again let's put grass, and you see that we have like plant grass, like we have different forms of grass. Let's add all of them just to make a cool effect. So I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna add another one, so grass again, this. Oh, okay, I want to add that one, it doesn't go, add. And I will add a third one just to make sure that we have a diversity in our game. Maybe this one. Okay, so I have 3 different kind of grass. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a zoom. Actually, first, before I add the grass, I'm gonna make the camera go to the map. So I'm gonna move the camera so it goes to the map. It's dark because it doesn't have lighting. You see the light right here? It's dark, so I'm gonna change from blue to something like yellowish. Okay, and then I'm gonna make the main camera show up in the middle of the terrain, just so we can have a cool effect of this. Look down. Okay, so that's our terrain. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select one grass. The opacity is not gonna be high. It's gonna be something like this. And where is the camera? I'm just gonna do where is the camera as an example, but you guys can do in everywhere in the map. So I'm just gonna select here, and with the camera right here, we can start painting a little bit. You see it, the grass? And then I'm going to select a different grass. And the last grass. So with the main camera here, we have our grass and our forest. Okay, so if I play the game right now, as the way it is, the grass will have animation for me. You see? So yeah, that's our game. And you can basically build the terrain in any way that you want. Other things that you can do on your terrain, if you go on terrain settings, you can pretty much change, for example, the detail distance to be longer. So it's going to interfere the way that your game runs. So depending on the detail distance, you want it very long. Another thing that you can change is the terrain size. So you can change from 1000 to, let's say, like this. It's gonna be like, it's gonna cut your terrain. So do this before you start your terrain, but you can do it later as well. And I guess you can change a bunch of different stuff right here depending on the tree density, the tail density, just to see which one works better for you. One final thing that I want to do in the game, just to make the game a little bit more realistic, is to add something called fog inside of the game. So fog will make the game looks more realistic. You see that far trees right here does not look far. It's just because they don't have any fog. In real life we have fog, so we have this kind of a fog in the game, in the life that it have in any place that we live. So we have the distance right there. In order to add fog, we are going to go to Window, Rendering, Lighting, and then on Lighting I'm gonna go all the way onto the environment and all the way down to fog. I'm gonna set it to true. You can see that I already have fog right there. And the color of the fog will actually be the color of the sky. Maybe a little bit white. Okay, something like this. And then you can make the fog higher, density like this, or make it smaller. I think 0.01 is a cool value for this. You can even put less, like 0.5. I think 0.5 is cool. And that's it. If you play the game, you have the terrain. We can pretty much build the map for more space. I only put grass where the camera is, but you can put in more space. And that's how our terrain looks like. So, what you guys think? I'm very excited to actually make the player to go through this terrain. Right now we can move the camera on the gameplay. So on the next class I'm going to teach you guys how to make the player move through scripting. So thank you very much for this class and see you at next class. Bye bye.